Hi there, welcome to our channel. Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? We just wrapped up this 24-day camping adventure, and trust me, there's a lot I wish I knew before the trip. So now I'll walk you through what to expect, from the food to internet connection or even the truck that we are traveling in. We went on a group tour traveling on a big truck from Cape Town. Our route took us 6,985 kilometers through Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and we ended up in Johannesburg. There were 16 of us on the tour and 2 experienced guides from cooking, driving, and explaining anything in between throughout the whole tour. First off, the big question that we had before our trip is physical activity. How fit do we need to be on this tour? So to be honest, there were quite a few activities that required some stamina from all of us. And the top 3 most tiring activities were, number 1, the hike up Table Mountain. So the hike up Table Mountain was a non-stop 2-hour incline up a 680-meter mountain. It was just the first activity that we did on day 1 and it tested all of us, but we eventually made it in the end. Then the second activity was climbing Big Daddy in Namibia, which is a sand dune. And climbing on sand is so different from climbing on a normal mountain. Every single step was really difficult. And the third activity was canoeing 15 kilometers along Orange River. So these activities were mostly scheduled at the first half of the trip when we had more energy, whereas the second half of the trip was comprising of more shorter walks and game drives, so that didn't take up as much physical stamina as the first part of the trip. But keep in mind setting up the camp, packing your things, loading things on truck. Over time, towards the end of the trip, it does take a toll on your physical energy. So the next question that we had was the truck. So we spent a lot of time on the truck. It was literally the home on wheels. Just to let you know, the roads in Africa are not amazing. It gets really bumpy on certain parts of the more remote areas. So if you are someone that gets car sick really easily, I would not recommend you going on this trip. So this truck that followed us on the 24 days literally has everything. It has a kitchen where our guides will cook. It has lots of storage compartments for food and supplies. And there are 16 seats where we actually rotate every day so that we get an experience of how it is like at different parts of the truck. Each seat comes with a seat belt, 2 USB ports which works when the truck is on the move, 2 big buckets of drinking water that we can refill our water bottles. There's a fridge and this locker at the back of the truck where each of us is allocated to one of this for the entire journey to put our things. So talking about water, that is literally the biggest concern that we had before the trip. We had access to clean water very easily because we actually made pit stops to the supermarkets every 3 to 4 days. So every pit stop at the supermarket, our entire group will stock up on water, we'll stock up on snacks, we'll even buy drinks like Coke, beer, wine. So now we have addressed the water issue. Food was something that we were also worried about. What will we be eating for the whole 24 days? We did bring a lot of snacks from Singapore, but at the end, the food that we ate really exceeded our expectations. So for breakfast, what we would usually have would be cereal, yogurt, and fresh fruits. For coffee lovers, I'm sorry, they only have instant blend coffee. On slower mornings, our guide would make French toast for us, and sometimes even warm oats. For lunch, because we usually have it on the road, these will be usually more DIY, simple meals like hot dogs, wraps, burgers, where the guides will lay out the different ingredients and then we'll piece them together and put our favorite sauces. For us, dinner was the highlight. Our guides were amazing chefs, from cooking stews to fried chicken to pasta. Every single night, they whip up something different and it's always surprisingly amazing. And after each meal, all of us would take turns to wash the dishes and pack up. Another big thing we were really worried about was the internet connection. I mean, coming from Singapore where internet is always there and we're always on our phones. So if you are someone that cannot live without Wi-Fi, I'm sorry. This Africa trip will be the ultimate internet detox for you. We had internet access through our eSIM in South Africa, but once we entered into the Namibia border, that was it. Namibia does not support eSIMs, so we couldn't have any access to it. So at first when we entered into Namibia, we were a bit uneasy because we keep looking at our phones and oh, there's no connection. But after a while, we got used to it, and towards the end, we actually really enjoyed this detox because that's when we could get truly immersed into the moment and connect with our tour mates. And that's maybe how life was, before internet took place. So the last thing I'll be covering today will be about the campsites. So the quality of the campsite varied quite a lot, but mostly we had communal bathrooms, and sometimes the communal bathrooms are even open air. That's something very different from what we are very used to. And in some places like Swakopmund, that's where we did wild camping. Means there was no access to running water in that campsite. Even the toilets were those that didn't have a flush, so it's like a long drop bathroom. So at those places, the wet wipes become your best friend until we get to the next campsite whereby we shower and we get access to running water. But hey, this is all part of the adventure. The real beauty of camping in Africa is that you'll be able to sleep under the stars, hear the wildlife when you are sleeping. So at some campsites like Elephant Sands, we literally could hear the sound of elephants near us. So most days, in terms of our schedule, we wake up at about 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's when the sun rises. We will pack up our tent, rinse and wash up, and our breakfast will be ready at about 7:30 a.m. We'll usually hit the road or start our morning activity at about 8 a.m. But at the same time, because campsites that we go to are really dark, so we sleep quite early at about 9 to 10 p.m. You sleep early, you wake up early. So after hearing all this, if you're up for this 24-day camping adventure, I can promise you it is really a once-in-a-lifetime experience. This trip, we have made lifelong memories and like-minded adventurous friends. Until today, we are still in close contact with our tour groups, which is really sweet. So just to share, while our tour operator was Drifters, they were excellent, the guides were amazing. We actually booked through a tour agency called African Overland Tours. So this tour agency has oversight of all the tour operators, all the different routes, their itineraries. So for example, they offer tours from Intrepid, G Adventures, Nomad, Africa Tours. So these are some of the common overland companies that you hear. You tell them your budget, your preferred route, whether you want it to be a camping tour or accommodated tour, they will always find the most suitable tour for you to travel. Yep, so that's it. So that's all I'm covering for today. If you have any questions regarding the tour, drop them in the comments below and I'll try to address them as best as I can, or maybe even create a new video for you. And in the next video, I'll be covering on what to pack and what not to pack for the Africa trip. So make sure you subscribe if you do not want to miss this video. Thanks for watching. Bye!